Hi guys, I'm Andy Willson, the Sneakonomist. The purpose of this series is to take you on a journey through 2020 from a financial perspective for the sneaker manufacturers and wholesalers. Now obviously it's been such a torrid year, we have to concentrate a lot of this, unfortunately, on the COVID virus. So I'm going to start in January, and obviously with regards to the regions, we start off in China. So the first case was brought to the attention of the world in December 2019. The first death from COVID in China didn't actually happen until January 2020. So why is this important from the grand scheme of the sneaker manufacturers and wholesalers? So China is very important when it comes to the manufacture of sneakers as well as apparel and accessories. The problem is twofold though. All of these manufacturers were seeing the greatest amount of growth coming from Asia as a whole, and particularly in China, as they tapped previously uncharted markets. We had found that a lot of manufacturing had moved from China to places like Vietnam. This is because tariffs were being brought into place, and it was making it less economical to be making and shipping from places like China. But 25% of the manufacturing was still coming from that region. And one of those brands that were particularly exposed was Puma, and probably more from their accessories point of view than actually from sneakers. I guess you can say luckily the onset of COVID coincided with the Lunar New Year in China. Factories over this period will shut down for 3 to 4 weeks, so brands will be aware of this and will have already pre-ordered a lot of their products, if you like, to be able to have it and to tide them over this period when these factories are shutting for that period. What also happened, though, unfortunately, was that during this lockdown period, we had stores that were being shut as well, and that obviously started to hamper some of the growth that these brands were actually seeing from the region. Now, up until this point, I know it's early in the year, but up until this point, coming through January into February, the brands had a positive start to the year. Adidas, for instance, were saying that outside of Asia Pacific in the first quarter, their sales were up 8%. We'd seen Ivy Park had launched and sold out immediately. And Superstars, for its anniversary, which you'll recall was a big push from Adidas, had seen sales up 20%. Now, as the quarter went through, various manufacturers told us that there weren't actually any real supply issues. We heard from China that they were getting manufacturing back to some kind of normality. We understand that the factories themselves are being run at reduced headcount, etc., due to having to be able to social distance. But people assumed that China had managed to nip this in the bud, if you like, by being able to force people to lock down. Now, that's easier done in a country like China than it would be, say, somewhere in a more westernized world. We heard that actual whole blocks of flats, etc., were chained shut, and people literally could not leave their houses. So as things started to reopen, the manufacturing facilities reopened, and we didn't really hear of any specific supply issues for any of the manufacturers at all. But at this point, it was weighing on the sales within those stores, particularly the bricks and mortar stores. Now, because we'd had this extended shutdown, it felt like there was a little bit, maybe some catch-up having to be played, and we've had a particularly bad problem this year with quality control, particularly coming out from brands such as Nike. So in a separate piece of content that I'm doing, I'm going to be looking much more closely at this, but it begs the question, was there QC issues due to having to rush to meet deadlines, maybe because these manufacturing facilities were still understaffed, and it's cutting corners, etc., to get stuff done. Now, towards the end of February, we started to see these cases were migrating out of China, and we started particularly in southern Europe, first of all, and then going on to the rest of Europe and also the US. At this point, what we heard from companies were, we still expect this to be a first half issue. But I'm sure you won't be surprised to see in the next of the series that they probably were a little short-sighted when they made that estimate.